Okay, so here is our tutorial for our telephone pole project. Step one is to open the telephone pole that is located in teacher handouts, public drive, class shares, Heart J, teacher handouts, 1516, digital photo, and it is called telephone pole example, and it's a JPEG. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our background layer, and then we're going to create several more layers. The first one is going to be called color. The next one is going to be called black. The next one is going to be called white. And finally, we're going to have a layer that we're going to name wires. Okay. We're going to take the eyeball off of our background layer and we're going to go to our background copy layer. Now we're going to go to select color range and we're going to sample the darkest colors in this telephone pole. After we sample one, we're going to go to our add eyedropper and we're going to sample the darkest colors we can find in this telephone pole. And you'll see the previews appearing right here. Click OK when we're done. We should have marching ants around all of our dark colors. Now we're going to go up to the layer that's called black and we're going to fill the marching ants. Edit, fill, and we're going to use black. The shortcut for this is Alt plus backspace. Control D or deselect to get rid of the marching ants. Now we're going to go back to our background copy layer and we're going to do the same thing. Select color range, only this time we're going to select this kind of grayish white area. And again, we can see our preview showing up right there. Go to our add brush, or eyedropper, I'm sorry, and add whatever grays you want to add into there. But again, we're only looking for the grays. Click OK. Now we're going to go to our white layer and we're going to fill that using white. So edit, fill, and we're going to use white right here. Again, the shortcut for fill is Alt plus backspace. Deselect, Control D. Okay. Now, you should have something that looks similar to this. It's kind of hard to see, but we can fill it in with the color layer. We're going to go to our color layer and we're going to select a color that brings out the other two. I'm going to use a red for this one. And we're going to fill that with the foreground color. Again, in our case, it's red. Now, your telephone pole should stand out. Those are the most important layers right there. You can change your color layer to a gradient if you'd prefer. You can pick your colors that you want. I'll use red and purple. And again, using the gradient tool, you can see it up here. We can click and drag and change our background color to whatever we want. There's also an option that lets us tweak our gradient called Gradient Editor. And again, to get to that, I clicked on the gradient. If we change this solid to noise, we can play with these sliders here and we get a kind of an interesting effect. You can change your roughness to 100. And now when we use the gradient tool, it gives us this effect. However, that's not as good as the one next to it, the radial gradient. And this will give us kind of a bullseye effect. All right, it's kind of interesting. Now, in order to bring some wires into this picture, I'm going to go back to a regular fill so you can see the wires. I'm going to go to my wires layer. I'm going to use my pen tool right here, and I'm going to make some wires that come out over here. I want to bring my paths menu up so that I can see that. If you've used paths in the past, you're going to have some old paths. We want to delete those old paths. Okay, channels we do not need. We don't need any of this stuff actually. So we have our paths and we have our layers. We're on the wires menu. I got my pen tool. I'm going to click. I'm going to make a wire go from right here to right there. Now when I click, I'm going to click and drag so I can bring these handles out. And click and drag to bring the handles out. Okay? Now, I can stroke that line using this tool right here, but right now it's currently set to red and I want it to be on black. Okay, so we want to switch this to the black default. We want to make sure we're on a pencil setting because we want our wires to be hard edged. And right now our pencil is set at 1 pixel. We need it to be about 10 or better, something around there. Now when I go to stroke that path, using this button right here, the line appears, and if I take off the path, if I deselect the path, you'll see it clearly. Now I can use that same path to make more wires using the direct select tool right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my path to a different area, and you can use your handles to change the way the wire bends however you want. You could even change the color to white if you prefer. And when you use the stroke tool, the lines will show up. Your wires should look believable, so don't pick wires that are outside of the realm of reality. When you're done with this, and you've done all the wires that you want, you might actually want to change some of the thicknesses too to make it look more natural. So I go to my pencil tool, maybe make one extra thin. Okay, it looks a little more believable. When you get all your wires done, and your project looks the way you want it to, and again, maybe you want to go back to that gradient or whatever you prefer. We're definitely going to want to flatten this. File, save as, whatever our current project number is.